So for the hundreds of hours that I've been broadcasting, you will not find any critique of these little creatures.
Mark Dolan, another choice would have been to keep them out of your filthy mouth. What kind of grown man looks at two little children and decides, let's make them content? You called Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet creatures. Not kids, not children, creatures. What you just did there was dehumanize them. That's as low as it goes. Those are two little kids, and you decided they were worth throwing into your content. That's the level of depravity Sussex haters operate at. Mark isn't the first, and he won't be the last, unfortunately. Any decent human being would leave children out of their content. Mark Dolan, stop being an internet predator. And then without a hint of irony, he said this.
But ultimately, my great crime was journalism. Elite level journalism, which across the genres of politics, royalty, and the culture wars has made me a global media figure.
Elite? Really? There is nothing elite about you. Who even the fuck are you? I can guarantee nobody outside of the UK and outside of the royal bubble has ever heard of you. I only know about you after I started defending the Sussexes. You are a YouTube carnival clown, an intellectual lightweight with an oversized ego, a grown man who calls children creatures, has the audacity to call himself an elite journalist? Bitch, please. Go play hide and never come back. Anyone can sit behind a microphone and throw cheap shots. It doesn't make them a journalist. It doesn't make them important. It just tells the audience how far they're willing to sink for clicks. The saddest part is this was a choice. Nobody forced those words out of your mouth. You chose them. You thought they were acceptable. Keep Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet out of your predatory mouth. You piece of low-life trash. Go return to the circus. They're missing a clown.
You don't choose your parents. So for the hundreds of hours that I've been broadcasting, you will not find any critique of these little creatures. But here are my thoughts about this.
So that creature, that vile creature you just saw in that video, they were talking about Archie and Lilibet, Meghan and Harry's kids. After Meghan and Harry called his previous comments distasteful. So Meghan and Harry, through their spokesman, issued a statement. Talked about how distasteful his comments were. What were his comments? He said Archie and Lilibet were going to make life a misery in the future for William and Kate's kids. He's predicting so far into the future and talking about kids, literal kids, that way. I thought for normal, sane human beings, kids were out of bounds. Like, we all know, every decent person knows not to talk about kids, innocent children, haven't done anything. But of course, it's Meghan and Harry's kids, especially Meghan's kids, so it's open season. Anyone could just come out and say any vile thing that they want about those kids, actually, a little bit. If you were to say anything mild, any slight criticism of William and Kate's kids, which I personally would not do, because again, kids, no, we're not about that here. But if you were to, people will rain down on you and call you all sorts of names, rightfully, because again, kids, out of bounds, it has nothing to do with innocent children, right? But these people, these creatures, these vile creatures that call themselves journalists, comedians in the UK, and even outside of the UK, feel comfortable, feel free to say all sorts of vile things about Meghan and Harry's kids. They've dehumanized Meghan to the point where they're now dehumanizing her children. It doesn't even matter to them what color those kids look. We know the problem with Meghan is because she has a black mom, and they've extended that to her kids now as well. And the royal family, they're watching this. They're watching how vile, how low these people, they're called sort of journalists and comedians, go without saying anything, without any pushback. So after Meghan and Harry's spokesperson spoke out, this evil, vile creature got on his platform again and called them creatures, call literal kids creatures. They never learn. Kids are out of bounds. Leave kids alone. They're innocent. I mean, I don't even know what Meghan's done to anyone anyway for her to get all of these. What we know is the racism. It stems from racism. But the kids, what have they got to do with it?
What a surprise. Another royal racist, and it's directed at Harry and Meghan's kids.
You don't choose your parents. So for the hundreds of hours that I've been broadcasting, you will not find any critique of these little creatures. But here are my thoughts about this.
For those of you who don't know, that is failed GB News journalist Mark Dolan. Yes, failed GB News journalist. Do you know how much of a loser you have to be to be a failed GB News journalist and a failed GB News journalist who was finding and fighting and fiending for, what's that idiot's name? Oh yeah, an even bigger failed GB News journalist by the name of Dan Wooten. Sir, your receding hairline funky ass was just fighting to get the role of Dan Wooten once Dan Wooten got ousted from GB News, and then you got ousted from GB News. You are the biggest loser of the losers of the losers. To sit up here and say you don't attack Harry and Meghan's kids, but then you call them creatures. And the sad part is there's a bunch of yellow tooth, cock-eyed ass bitches that's in his comments probably just like rooting him on, and they probably will say something about Harry and Meghan's kids. In fact, they do. They're your audience. I don't know what is with you journalists. I don't know where you all lost your morals and integrity, but you are a sad bunch in the UK. I must say, you are a sad bunch. I truly feel sorry for Harry and Meghan's kids because the way the UK media is going to use them to prop up Prince William and Kate's kids, and Prince William and Kate will be in the background rooting them right along to do it. It's quite sad. This is why I would never have anything kind to say about Kate and William, because they sit there and they watch these things and they don't care. And Kate is supposed to be an advocate for the first 5 years of children's lives.
Hello, Squaddies. Let's stop playing nice and call this whole train wreck exactly what it is. Some middle-aged talking head on TV decides it's a brilliant idea to look straight into a broadcast camera and refer to two actual toddlers as little creatures. Nah, keep your hands off the keyboard and step away from the mic. You don't get to slide that past us and pretend it's just snappy punditry. We see what's going on. The moment a kid is mixed race, the dog whistles start blowing so loud you'd think it was a factory whistle. Dehumanizing toddlers on national television isn't hot take journalism. It's straight up playground bullying from guys with expensive suits and cheap talk. Think about how wild this is for a second. These are little children who spend their days eating cereal, watching cartoons and drawing on walls with crayons. But because of who their parents are, some TV host looks at them and sees an opportunity to throw subliminal dirt. That isn't clever. That's just creepy. And what does this show regular folks sitting on the couch? It tells every everyday person watching at home that if somebody doesn't like your family, they'll go after your kids too and call it free speech. Nah, scrap that. We're calling it out every single time. Leave the kids out of your ratings bait, turn off the broadcast and get an actual day job. Let's be real for a second. There is criticism and then there is just being plain nasty. This wasn't some clever joke. This wasn't hard-hitting commentary. Calling Prince Harry and Meghan's children little creatures is the kind of comment that makes normal people stop and say, hang on, what did he just say? Seriously? We're talking about kids. Archie and Lilibet didn't ask to be born into one of the most famous families in the world. They didn't choose the headlines. They didn't choose the documentaries. They're just children trying to grow up while grown adults with TV shows keep dragging them into the conversation. And that's where this whole thing falls apart. Once you start throwing disrespect at children, you've left the building. That's not journalism anymore. That's playground bully behavior with a television camera pointed at it. Imagine sitting at home with your family and hearing someone on national television describe your kids like that. Any parent would lose it. You don't need to be royal. You don't need a title. You don't need a palace. You just need to be a mum or a dad to understand why people are disgusted. Here's the funny part. These same commentators love acting like they're defending standards and good manners. Really? Because calling little kids little creatures doesn't exactly scream class. It screams, I've run out of real arguments, so now I'm picking on children. Come on now. That's weak. And let's stop pretending this is fearless journalism. It isn't. Kids can't come on TV and defend themselves. Kids can't jump on social media and clap back. They're easy targets. That's why bullies go after them. Normal people see right through it. This is exactly why Harry has spent years talking about protecting his family. Every time people ask, why are Harry and Meghan so protective of Archie and Lilibet? Well, here's another answer. Because some grown adults simply don't know where the line is. The saddest part, these commentators probably think they're creating great television. Meanwhile, regular people are sitting there thinking, mate, leave the kids alone. It's not complicated. If your biggest punchline involves two young children, you've already lost the argument. At that point, you're not informing anybody, you're not exposing anything, you're just showing the audience who you really are. And viewers notice that. They always do. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. because everybody can see it. Imagine, just for 1 second, if someone on British television looked straight into the camera and called Prince George, Princess Charlotte, or Prince Louis little creatures. What do you think would happen? Oh, the internet would explode. Front pages, emergency interviews, politicians weighing in, royal experts suddenly discovering their moral compass, TV presenters apologizing before the commercial break. We'd hear words like disgraceful, unacceptable, and cross the line every 5 minutes. But somehow, when it's Archie and Lilibet, crickets. That's what gets people talking. Regular people notice this stuff too. They sit there thinking, wait a minute, are there 2 different rulebooks here? Because that's exactly how it looks. One set of royal children gets wrapped in bubble wrap, the other set gets thrown into the firing line, and somehow that's supposed to be normal? Nah, people aren't buying that anymore. Here's the thing that makes me laugh. The same crowd who are always shouting, leave the Wales children alone, suddenly go missing when Harry and Meghan's kids are being dragged into the mess. Where'd everybody go? Did the Wi-Fi cut out? Did the phone stop working? Or is outrage only available Monday to Friday for certain children? You can't have it both ways. Either all children deserve respect, or your principals aren't really principals. They're just favourites wearing fancy clothes. That's why this whole situation leaves such a bad taste. It's about basic decency. Most parents don't see royal children, they just see children. And if you've ever picked up your son from school, tucked your daughter into bed, or watched your little one run around the garden laughing, you know exactly why comments like this hit differently. Kids should never become ammunition in grown-up fights. Ever. The sad part is, this isn't the first time people have noticed this pattern. Harry and Meghan's children seem to attract language and treatment that would never fly if it were aimed at William and Catherine's family. That's why so many people keep saying there's a double standard. Not because someone told them to believe it, because they can see it with their own eyes. And once people start noticing unequal treatment, it's hard to convince them it doesn't exist. The public isn't blind. They know fairness when they see it, and they definitely know favoritism when they see that too.
Now, here's the question that keeps popping into people's heads. Where is King Charles? Forget the palace drama for a minute. Forget who's speaking to who. Forget all the headlines about family feuds. Let's make this simple. Archie and Lilibet are his grandchildren. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. So when people hear grown adults throwing ugly comments at those kids, the natural reaction is, Grandad, you gonna say something? Because that's how regular families work. If somebody starts talking crazy about your grandkids at the family barbecue, Grandpa isn't sitting quietly in the corner pretending he didn't hear it. Grandma isn't checking the potato salad recipe. Somebody's standing up and saying, enough, leave the children out of it. That's just common sense. And that's why people keep asking questions. The monarchy talks a lot about family. We hear it all the time. Family this, family that, duty, values, love. Okay then, when does that protection reach Archie and Lilibet? Or does it stop at certain grandchildren? That's the uncomfortable question people are asking. Because from the outside looking in, it feels strange. Nobody is saying King Charles has to jump behind a microphone every single time someone says something ridiculous on television. But when comments are aimed at young children, people naturally expect at least some sign that the line has been crossed. Silence has a funny way of speaking for itself. The longer nothing gets said, the more people start filling in the blanks. And trust me, the internet loves filling in blanks. Here's what makes this even harder to understand. Family disagreements happen in every house. Brothers fall out, parents and children argue, people stop talking for years. It happens. But the kids shouldn't be carrying that baggage. Regular people understand that instinctively. You don't punish children because the adults can't sort themselves out. That's not how decent families operate. At the end of the day, Archie and Lilibet didn't create this situation. They didn't ask for media attention. They didn't ask to become talking points on television. They're just kids. And if the monarchy wants people to believe family is one of its biggest values, then a lot of viewers are wondering whether those values should cover every grandchild equally. Because when it comes to children, fairness shouldn't depend on which branch of the family tree they're standing on. That's the part people can't wrap their heads around. The palace may choose silence, but the public still notices it. And once people start asking, why isn't anyone speaking up for those kids, that's a question that doesn't disappear overnight. Harry and Meghan were right to protect their children. And this, right here, is why so many people have completely changed their minds about Harry and Meghan. Think about it. For years we've heard the same complaints. Why are they so private? Why don't we see Archie and Lilibet more? They're hiding the children. Really? After hearing grown adults on television use language like this about little kids, are we honestly still confused about why Harry and Meghan keep them out of the spotlight? Come on, it doesn't take a genius to connect the dots. If this is what gets said in public, imagine the kind of nonsense that happens behind the scenes. Every parent watching this knows exactly what they'd do. They'd grab their kids, shut the front door and say, nope, you're not going anywhere near that circus. And they'd be right, because being a good parent isn't about making strangers happy. It's about making sure your children feel safe. That's the job. Not getting likes, not pleasing newspaper editors, not feeding people who think your family is entertainment. Harry has been saying for years that he wants to protect his wife and children. People laughed. People rolled their eyes. People said he was exaggerating. Then moments like this happen, and suddenly those warnings don't sound so crazy anymore. They start making a whole lot of sense. Let's be honest. Nobody wakes up one morning and says, you know what, I want my kids to grow up hiding from cameras. Parents make those choices when they believe the alternative is worse. That's the bit some commentators never seem to understand. Harry and Meghan aren't raising headlines. They're raising children. Those are two completely different jobs. And if protecting your son and daughter means saying no to photographers, no to endless public appearances, and no to people who think insulting children is somehow clever, then most mums and dads would make that same decision without blinking. This is why the conversation is bigger than one television clip. It's bigger than one presenter. It's bigger than one bad choice of words. It's about the environment surrounding Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet. An environment where some people seem to forget there are actual children at the center of all this. Not characters, not props, not punchlines. Children. That's why so many people are looking at Harry differently now. They don't just see a prince. They see a father doing what fathers are supposed to do, standing between his children and people who think cruelty is entertainment. At the end of the day, money can't replace peace. Titles can't replace safety. Fame can't replace a normal childhood. Harry and Meghan made their choice. Looking at moments like this, a lot more people are starting to understand exactly why. Thank you all for watching. Happy new month, everybody. I hope this month brings you nothing but blessings, good news, and plenty of reasons to smile. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. And hey, if you're already part of the family, you're an absolute legend. Until next time, I am your host, Miles. Love you all, stay blessed, and let's keep exposing the nonsense together. Catch you in the next one.